Hello everyone, welcome to the study guide on the novel Kanthapura written by Raja Rao. Raja Rao's Kanthapura is not only an important piece of literature for its narrative and style, but also for its deep engagement with the Indian independence movement and the way it weaves together the cultural, social, and political fabric of India during the colonial era. Plot: setting the stage, Kanthapura and the spark of revolution. Kanthapura is set in a fictional village in South India, which becomes a microcosm for India's national struggle against British colonial rule. The novel begins by painting a vivid picture of village life, steeped in tradition, religion, and community bonds. This peaceful existence is disrupted as news of Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent resistance against the British reaches Kanthapura, igniting a fire of political awakening among its residents. Murthy, the catalyst of change. The protagonist Murthy is a young, educated Brahmin who becomes enchanted by Gandhi's teachings. Transforming into a fervent disciple, Murthy embodies the Gandhian principles of truth, non-violence, and self-reliance. His charisma and conviction inspire the villagers to join the independence movement, challenging the deeply entrenched social norms and the British colonial powers. Murthy's journey from a village youth to a nationalistic leader symbolizes the awakening of a colonized nation seeking its identity and sovereignty. The Awakening, Kanthapura's transformation. As the villagers of Kanthapura rally around Murthy, the narrative explores the transformation of the community. Women, lower caste members, and previously marginalized groups find a new sense of purpose and unity in the struggle for independence. The village becomes a hotbed of political activity, organizing protests, boycotting British goods, and facing the brutalities of colonial repression. This transformation reflects the broader dynamics of the Indian independence movement, where diverse communities came together under the banner of nationalism and Gandhian philosophy. Clashes with colonial authority, the cost of resistance. The British response to Kanthapura's uprising is swift and severe. Murthy's arrest and the subsequent crackdown on the villagers underscore the oppressive nature of colonial rule. The novel does not shy away from depicting the harsh realities of resistance, including violence, betrayal, and loss. These events culminate in the brutal suppression of the uprising, leading to the destruction and abandonment of the village. This tragedy highlights the sacrifices made by countless Indians in the quest for freedom and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tyranny. Symbolism and the national movement. Kanthapura's struggle is emblematic of the national independence movement. The village, with its harmonious yet complex social fabric, symbolizes India itself, with its diverse cultures, religions, and languages united against a common oppressor. Murthy's leadership and the villagers' sacrifices mirror the historical leaders and unsung heroes of the Indian freedom struggle. Through the lens of Kanthapura, Raja Rao encapsulates the essence of resistance, the pain of subjugation, and the indomitable will for self-determination. Legacy of Kanthapura. Kanthapura extends beyond the narrative of villages uprising against colonial forces. It is a poignant exploration of India's socio-political landscape during the freedom movement. Raja Rao's masterpiece is celebrated for its intricate portrayal of the interplay between individual and collective identities, the power of non-violent resistance, and the enduring quest for justice and liberty. Through the story of Kanthapura, readers are reminded of the enduring impact of Mahatma Gandhi's principles and the universal struggle for freedom and dignity. Themes: Struggle for independence. At the heart of Kanthapura lies India's arduous battle for freedom from British rule, which is vividly mirrored in the lives of the villagers. This theme showcases not just a physical struggle against colonial oppression, but also a moral and ideological battle. The villagers' fight for their rights and dignity encapsulates the collective spirit of a nation under the yoke of imperialism, striving for self-determination. Murthy, the protagonist, embodies this struggle as he mobilizes the village against the British, challenging both the colonial authorities and the traditional societal hierarchies that had kept the village in stasis. Through this, Rao vividly captures the essence of the national independence movement, making the village of Kanthapura a microcosm of India itself. Gandhian philosophy. Raja Rao intricately weaves Gandhian principles into the fabric of the novel, presenting them as both revolutionary and spiritually enriching. The adherence to non-violence or ahimsa in the face of aggression, the pursuit of self-reliance or swadeshi by boycotting British goods, and the practice of satyagraha or the force of truth for civil disobedience are portrayed not just as political strategies but as transformative moral choices. These principles guide the characters, actions, and the village's collective uprising, illustrating how Gandhi's philosophy offered a new vision for an independent India. The narrative thus serves as a tribute to Gandhi's influence on the Indian freedom struggle, showcasing how his teachings transcended political activism to become a way of life for many. Community and social structure. Kanthapura offers a deep examination of the Indian social fabric, characterized by its caste system and patriarchal values. The novel does not shy away from depicting the entrenched social inequalities and rigid caste divisions that define village life. However, it also captures the moments of solidarity and social reform that emerge in the crucible of the freedom struggle. Murthy's efforts to uplift the Harijans or the lower caste challenge the traditional caste norms, reflecting a broader critique of social hierarchies. Moreover, the role of women in Kanthapura is pivotal. They become central to the resistance movement, breaking free from the confines of domesticity to participate in public life. Through these narratives, Rao comments on the potential for social transformation through collective action and moral awakening. Religion and spirituality. The interplay between religion and spirituality is a recurring motif in Kanthapura. Hindu mythology and the spiritual teachings of the Vedas and Upanishads are intertwined with the villagers' daily lives, providing a source of comfort, moral guidance, and a sense of identity. This spiritual backdrop becomes especially significant in the context of the independence movement. The novel illustrates how religious beliefs and practices can serve as a source of strength and unity in times of political turmoil. The figure of Gandhi himself is often depicted with saint-like reverence, his principles echoing the ancient spiritual traditions of India. Through this fusion of the spiritual and the political, Rao suggests that the struggle for independence is not just a fight for political freedom, but also a quest for spiritual liberation and moral renewal. Characters. Kanthapura offers a range of characters, each embodying different aspects of Indian society during the struggle for independence from British colonial rule. The characters are not just individuals but also symbolize broader societal roles and ideologies, making the village of Kanthapura a microcosm of India at large. Murthy. Murthy, the young Brahmin protagonist, is the embodiment of change and resistance in Kanthapura. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's teachings, Murthy undergoes a profound transformation, adopting a life of simplicity, self-reliance, and non-violence. He becomes a beacon of hope and resistance, organizing the village's fight against the British through peaceful protests and encouraging the breakdown of caste barriers. His dedication to the cause leads to personal sacrifices, including arrest and ostracism, highlighting the individual cost of collective freedom. Achaka. Achaka serves as the novel's narrator, offering a panoramic view of the village's transition amidst the tumult of the independence movement. As an elderly woman, her narration bridges generations, weaving together folklore, village gossip, and historical events with a warmth and intimacy that brings the community to life. Her storytelling reflects the oral tradition, making the novel accessible and vividly real. Achaka's perspective is crucial in providing a grounded, everyday context to the monumental changes happening in Kanthapura and India. Rangamma. Rangamma, a widow and a respected leader in Kanthapura, represents the pivotal role of women in the independence movement. Intelligent, articulate, and deeply influenced by Gandhian philosophy, she becomes a core member of the struggle, organizing meetings and educating the villagers about civil disobedience, boycotts, and the importance of self-reliance. Rangamma's character challenges traditional gender roles and highlights the essential active participation of women in the fight for India's freedom. Bhatta. The moneylender Bhatta represents the complexities and contradictions within Indian society, particularly those who benefited from the colonial system. Resistant to change and deeply conservative, Bhatta symbolizes the segment of Indian society that feared the upheaval that independence and social reform would bring. His opposition to Murthy and the independence movement reflects the internal divisions and challenges that accompanied India's struggle for its freedom, showcasing the multifaceted nature of colonial resistance. Symbolism. The river. The river in Kanthapura is a powerful symbol of life's continuity and the eternal cycle of birth and death. It mirrors the ongoing struggle for freedom faced by the villagers and the Indian independence movement at large. As a natural entity that flows persistently and nurtures life along its banks, the river reflects the resilience and perseverance of the people in their fight against colonial oppression. It suggests that just as the river withstands the seasons and time, the spirit of resistance and the desire for freedom are indestructible and perennial. The river's ever-flowing nature symbolizes the idea that life and the struggle for justice continue, despite individual losses and sacrifices. Kanthapura. The village of Kanthapura itself serves as a microcosm of India, encapsulating its social, cultural, and political complexities. Through the lens of this small village, Rao explores the caste system, gender roles, religious practices, and the impact of colonialism on Indian society. Kanthapura, with its intricate and social fabric and its inhabitants' collective journey towards independence, represents the broader national struggle for freedom and self-identity. The village's unity and discord reflect India's diverse yet cohesive fight against British rule, highlighting the complexities of forming a unified national identity amidst varied social and cultural practices. Gandhi. Although Mahatma Gandhi never appears as a character in Kanthapura, his presence is deeply felt throughout the novel, symbolizing hope, resistance, and the moral force of non-violence. Gandhi's philosophy of non-violent protest and his emphasis on self-reliance and truth become guiding principles for Murthy and the villagers as they confront colonial authority. Gandhi's ideas transcend his physical absence, becoming a source of strength and inspiration for the characters. His symbolic presence in the novel embodies the ethical and spiritual dimensions of the independence movement, suggesting that true freedom is not just political but also moral and spiritual. Gandhi's influence is a testament to the power of ideas and the impact of visionary leadership in mobilizing people for a common cause. Literary devices. Allegory. Representation of India's fight for independence. The struggles, events, and transformations within Kanthapura are not just the tale of a single village, but a representation of the broader Indian struggle for freedom from British colonial rule. The actions of the villagers, their resistance, and the sacrifices they make symbolize the actions of the entire nation. Murthy as a Gandhian figure. Murthy's character is an allegorical representation of Mahatma Gandhi and his principles. Through Murthy's journey, the novel explores the impact of Gandhian philosophy on the Indian freedom movement and on transforming Indian society. Metaphor and simile. The river as life's flow. The river in the novel serves as a powerful metaphor for the flow of life, the cycles of struggle, and the persistence of the villagers in the face of adversity. It symbolizes the eternal nature of change and the continuous struggle for freedom. The battle as sacrifice. The confrontations between the villagers and the colonial authorities are often described through similes and metaphors that liken them to epic battles. These literary devices highlight the sacrifices of the villagers and valorize their fight as a part of a larger sacred struggle for liberation. The land and soil as mother. The novel frequently uses the metaphor of the land and soil as a mother figure, nurturing the villagers. This connection emphasizes the deep bond between the people and their land, symbolizing India itself and the imperative to fight for her freedom. Foreshadowing. Hints of conflict. The narrative technique of foreshadowing is used to build tension and anticipation. Early in the novel, subtle hints of upcoming conflict between the villagers and colonial authorities are dropped, preparing readers for the eventual confrontation and highlighting the inevitability of the struggle for independence. Predictions and omens. Through the use of local beliefs, dreams, and omens, the novel foreshadows critical turning points in the story. These elements add a layer of cultural depth to the narrative and underscore the fated nature of the villagers' rebellion against colonial rule. The outcome of the struggle. Even as the novel celebrates the spirit of resistance, it also foreshadows the challenges and sacrifices involved in the fight for freedom. This creates a nuanced portrayal of the independence movement, acknowledging its complexities and the steep cost paid by individuals and communities. Narrative style. Raja Rao's Kanthapura employs a distinctive narrative style that sets it apart from other novels of its time and contributes significantly to its thematic depth and cultural resonance. This style is pivotal in reflecting the novel's setting, its characters, and the socio-political upheaval it depicts. Oral tradition and storytelling. The narrative style of Kanthapura is deeply rooted in the oral tradition, a cornerstone of Indian cultural and storytelling practices. Achakka, an elderly woman from the village, narrates the events, employing a conversational tone that mimics the way stories are passed down through generations in Indian villages. This approach not only makes the narrative accessible but also imbues it with a sense of authenticity and warmth. The oral tradition, with its reliance on memory, repetition, and communal participation, serves as a powerful tool for preserving history, culture, and values, making it a perfect vehicle for the story Rao wishes to tell. Community as narrator. Though Achaka is the primary narrator, her storytelling often includes collective experiences and voices of the Kanthapura community. This narrative choice emphasizes the communal identity over individuality, reflecting the collective struggle of the villagers against colonial oppression. Through Achaka's narration, readers hear the hopes, fears, and aspirations of an entire community, making the narrative not just a personal or isolated story, but a communal saga. The community-based narration reinforces the theme of unity and solidarity, crucial elements in the Gandhian philosophy that underpins the novel's action. Integration of the personal and political. Achaka's narrative seamlessly blends personal anecdotes with the broader political movements of the time, reflecting the interconnectedness of individual lives with national events. The struggle for independence from British rule is not just a distant political event, but a tangible reality that deeply impacts the daily lives of villagers. By weaving the personal and the political into a cohesive narrative, Rao highlights how the Gandhian movement permeated the fabric of rural India, transforming personal identities and communal relations. This narrative strategy underscores the idea that political is personal, illustrating the profound impact of colonialism and the fight for independence on individual and collective psyches. Continuity and change. The storytelling style adopted in Kanthapura reflects themes of continuity and change. Through Achaka's narration, the novel pays homage to traditional Indian values and ways of life, while simultaneously chronicling the transformation of village under the influence of Gandhian principles. This narrative duality captures the essence of a nation at a crossroads, clinging to its cultural roots while navigating the turbulent waters of political change and social reform. The oral narrative style, with its inherent fluidity and adaptability, mirrors the dynamic nature of the village's journey from a quiet, traditional community to a center of nationalist activity. Evocative language and imagery. The narrative style is characterized by its rich, evocative language and vivid imagery, which bring the village of Kanthapura and its inhabitants to life. Achaka's storytelling is peppered with local dialects, idioms, and cultural references, lending the narrative an authentic flavor and texture. This use of language not only serves to deepen the reader's immersion in the setting but also functions as a form of resistance against the colonial imposition of the English language, reclaiming and celebrating the richness of Indian linguistic and cultural heritage. Structure. The novel Kanthapura by Raja Rao is celebrated for its intricate structure, which plays a crucial role in its storytelling and thematic depth. The structure not only serves the narrative but also mirrors the complexities of Indian society during the freedom struggle, weaving together the personal, the political, and the spiritual. Central plot. At the heart of Kanthapura is the village's collective involvement in the Indian independence movement, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's principles. This central plot focuses on how the villagers, led by the protagonist Murthy, adopt non-violent resistance against British colonial rule. The escalation of their involvement from peaceful protests to severe repercussions from the colonial government forms the spine of the narrative. Subplots. Interwoven with the main storyline are various subplots that enrich the narrative and provide a multifaceted view of life in Kanthapura. These include social reforms and caste system. The novel explores efforts to uplift the Harijan community, then referred to as untouchables, and the resultant social tensions within the caste-rigid village society. Women's roles and emancipation. The narrative highlights the transformation of women's roles in the village, showcasing their transition from domestic confines to active participation in the independence movement. Personal journeys. Individual characters undergo personal growth and transformation against the backdrop of the larger political struggle. Murthy's spiritual and political journey, Achaka's role as the narrator and the village elder, and the personal sacrifices of characters like Rangama and Ratna add layers of depth to the story. Flashbacks. They provide historical context, deepen character backgrounds, and reveal the interconnectedness of the villagers' lives and their ancestral stories. Digressions. They offer philosophical and spiritual insights, adding a layer of depth to the narrative that reflects the complexity of Indian society and the interconnectedness of life, politics, and spirituality. Integration of themes. The novel's structure facilitates the seamless integration of its central themes, such as the struggle for independence, the impact of Gandhian philosophy, social reform, and the role of religion and mythology in shaping identity and resistance. Through its structured narrative, Kanthapura encapsulates the essence of a pivotal moment in Indian history, reflecting the collective consciousness of a nation on the brink of independence. So this was the study guide on the novel Kanthapura by Raja Rao. We will meet in the next video and discuss some other novel. Until then, goodbye and thank you.